afternoon, brothers and sisters.
How are
you all today?
Good.
So, did you all come for the lunch earlier? Some of you? How is the food? How many of you came for the lunch earlier? Okay, most of you are. So for the rest, too bad. Lunch we've already had quite a few lunch gatherings. Yeah, so then Adam asked, I think it's because Adam hasn't been joining us for lunch gathering. So we had one on the 1st Jan, and then we had one over at one of the devotees' place, and then we had one more. We had one on the 3rd of the lunar calendar, and then one more on the 5th of February. 5th or 4th of February. Yeah, over at the Jalan Senyum. Yeah. Then it's really much. So next month is April. Just a bit of heads up. We are now more or less the middle of March. Today is the 12th. Next month in April, we'll be having some programs here. So on the first week of April, there'll be no SGC here. I'm still thinking about what to do, whether we want to go outdoors, or should we have a retreat or something. Most likely we'll have the retreat at the end of April. Yeah. Retreat is not compulsory, so we'll inform you all. So on the last week of April, there's the SBF Vesak celebration. So every year they will have some kind of food and fun fair, and this year they are having it in Comingson. Yeah. So it is possible that we might actually have a one-day break, and then get everybody to just go down to Comingson and to do some prayers and visit the stalls there. Yeah. So we might just do that. Okay. So other than that, there'll be 3 weeks that is still here. So let me see, who is new here today on my left? Introduce yourself, tell us your name and how you got to know about this group. You may want to squat down so you're not so threatening. You're very tall. You are really very shy. You speak and then someone come over. What's your name? What's your name? We'll make it an interrogation. Okay, so who will go first? Come. Dionys. Yeah. Who do you bring this time?
My is two friends. Actually, there's one more. She can't make it today.
Okay. So what are your names? Tell us your name and Shirley. Hello, Shirley. And sorry? Jovially. Welcome. That wasn't too tough, was it? Stressful. Don't be so shy. Yeah. So, I'm kind of doing the sequence wrong. I would usually ask like, who brought you here, or how did you come to know about this group? So, who is your friend?
Julie. Actually, they know you long time ago, but.
Oh, is it?
Julie and
Oh, me too.
Okay, 但是他们没有时间来，所以今天有时间来了。
OK， 今天良辰吉日。Welcome to SGC. How about the right? Anybody on the right who is here for the first time? Let me see. Yes. Tell us your name and.
Hi Michelle. And how I met? How do you?
this month, is it? Again, March or
No, I think February.
February? Was the forum in February?
I can check. I think it's still.
Oh, what was the date?
Oh no, maybe it's yeah.
February. Is it mid-February?
Yeah, International Women's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been almost a month, right? Coming to a month already. 14, 15, 16, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 15, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I'm fine.
Gosh, it's almost a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I met Michelle at the International Women's Forum. There was this 2 days forum conference thing, and several months back, there was this link up. I was invited to speak at this conference. Yeah, Torn Among the Roses. So the theme for the conference was diversity, and then the topic for there were a few panels. So it was a 2-day conference. The first day was visit to different parts of Singapore, the National Gallery, Peranakan Museum, and then there was a conversation with one of the minister. Yeah, was it Chan Chun Sing?
No.
Tan Chun. Yeah. So that was the first day, and then the second day was the actual at Fullerton Hotel. And then the funny thing is, now I can tell you this, because on the first day, when when they asked me, some of the participants were asked like, so what are you speaking about? You know, to tell the honest truth, on the first day, I can't quite remember the full topic. So I would tell people, I'm going to be speaking about diversity, and they look at me like, yeah. Because the theme of the whole conference is diversity. The thing is that I can't remember the full name. It was like, yeah, harmony in diversity, and because there are a few panels, and I'm in one of the panel, it was basically private belief and public faith. Yeah, so it was quite funny because time and again people ask like, oh, because it's a International Women's Forum, yeah. So they don't expect to see much men there, although men are welcome, right? And then much more among. So initially, when I first joined in, I skipped the HDB visit. In retrospect, I think it could have been interesting. Yeah, I mean when you don't always get the CEO of HDB to do the visit, you know. So anyway, on the first day for National Gallery, I was waiting there, and the bus arrived, and how the organizers were still wondering like what I'm doing there. Then the participants came and they were like, hello. Yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah, so then I think on the first day, on the very first day at National Gallery, I bumped into you already. Yeah, we're in the same group. That was also when I bumped into my next colleague. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a nice conference. Catch up with quite a few friends from in the past. Yeah. So anyway, then along the way we talked to different people, and Michelle is one of them. And then Michelle shared with me about how hola, hand to the crouch. There's this magic thing, you know. I saw this video. They're supposed to hold the baby in a certain way, holding the crotch, and then, you know, and somehow it's supposed to calm them down. Yeah. Where was I? So Michelle actually runs a social enterprise. Yeah, and so we talked a bit about what she was doing, what I was doing, and I thought it'd be interesting to get her to share. She's not sharing today. I told her that she must come and have a few. Yeah. So, and because she's a Buddhist also, and along the way she shared that she's been wanting to get started again. So I thought, just come along. So welcome. Probably next week or next week, she'll, depending on her schedule.
Can we speak out?
Yeah, so probably 2 weeks from now, she'll come and share with what her social enterprise is doing. Yeah. So, anybody else? Hello. Hi. What's your name?
Emily.
Emily. How do you get to know about this?
I attended your class before.
And when was that?
About a year plus ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Which class?
Meditation class.
Okay.
And I
Makes
also
sense.
attended your Sunday spiritual group cultivation.
This is the spiritual. Okay.
Yeah, when you were back at so I had a hard time tracking you down. So I finally get to know you are here. Sorry I'm late because I went to the other Buddhism union.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to another location, so they told me you are.
Oh, you went to the one in
Jalan.
Jalan.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No, sorry. We got.
No problem.
We should put up signboards there.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Good to see you. And how did you hunt me down?
It's I have a friend. Her name is Agnes.
Agnes,
Chuan.
who studied in SPF.
I think so. She attended a few of your classes before as well.
Is she in is she in some poly now?
Yeah, she's at RP. Yeah,
okay.
I'm also in RP.
I see, okay.
So we are colleagues. So she know I'm looking for you, us. So she WhatsApp me say, oh, Venerable Chuan is at the Buddhism Union now. So I visited the Facebook page and get to know you are still continuing the class.
Yes.
Hence I'm here.
Good. Wow. So, I was just commenting to some of the participants that even until now, there are some who would text me and say like, hey Shifu, didn't see you in your classes, so where are you now? Yeah. So maybe I should advertise on the newspaper like, just in case you didn't know, SGC has shifted out. Yeah. We shifted. When did we shift? We shifted last October. Yeah, back in October. Yeah, so it's been a while. We have been.
One time you tell me to go at Bishan Park.
Yes.
I went, I lost my way.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, not Tokyo Park. We went Bishan Park.
I went to the one opposite the library.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the park.
Yeah.
Also the park is big.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then we found a place to hide.
A very good place. I couldn't find it.
So are you on the Facebook page already?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I'm visiting it regularly.
Okay. You can just like it. Then when you like it, you'll see it in your timeline. Yeah. And you can also, let me see, maybe you can ask Billing your mobile number, and then she'll add you into the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you'll be flooded with incessant. No, we're trying to keep it a bit more manageable. Yeah. So in the past, when we have lunch gathering, in the past what we'll do is that we post the event information, then we post a list, and then everybody who wants to participate will put a name in, and we post the whole list. So there were some events where the number went up to 100 over, and then you can imagine the post is being repeated 100 times. So some members have feedback that it is quite mind-boggling, just to scroll through all the messages. So this time around for lunch, instead we created a Google form, and so you just go to the link and add yourself inside, so that the chat itself is quieter. Yeah. So after this, maybe you all can just add yourself in, including Michelle and Diony's friends. Okay, welcome to SGC. SGC Spiritual Group Cultivation. It used to be called Sunday Group Cultivation. Yeah. And we have short puja, short chanting, short puja and chanting the same. Then short meditation, followed by not so short Dharma sharing. Yeah. So every week we have a slightly different topic, but in the past few months we have been going through the perfections. Yeah, the perfections. So what are the perfections? Let me see. What is today's date?
Today is 12.
Today is the 12th. So we've gone through a few perfections. The perfections in Chinese. Huh? Oh. So this is the transliteration of the word paramita. Now I've explained this many times, so can you all remember what is the meaning? Both in the Heart Sutra class and in the SGC, I've been going through this inside out. I think by now when you see this, you're like, oh, Sifu, let me explain it for you. So I'm going to let you all explain it for me. Yeah, so what is pa? No, of course you can't do that. It's paramita. There's a certain way to split it, but let's just take it as a whole. What does paramita mean? Raise your hand. Yes.
Going across to the other shore.
Go over to the other side. Very good. Give him a round of applause. I never waste my time teaching her. Yeah. Pranav attended the 3-week Heart Sutra over in NTU. Yeah. I mentioned this morning about the 3-week Heart Sutra. Yeah, he was one of the attendees. And then there was another Pranav. There were 2 Pranav. So, to cross over. The undershore. And we say 从此岸到彼岸，此岸生死苦，彼岸涅槃乐。So, from this shore to the other shore. A bit of a recap. So, 此岸生死苦, suffering of birth and death, and the bliss of nirvana. So what else? What do you use to cross over? Next person, raise your hand. You can remember. What do you use to cross over? Dharma. Yes, we use the Dharma to cross over. Yeah. So this is the simile of the raft. A man being chased by different people and having a lot of stress and anxiety reaches one shore and sees that the other shore has no enemies. Yeah? It's all nice, serene, and peaceful. So, wanting to cross over to the other shore of safety, of bliss, so he tries to see how he can get across. And then he thought, what if I were to chop off some trees, trunks with twines and then make a raft and cross over? So he crosses over safely, and then the Buddha then asked the disciples what to do with the raft. Yeah, should he carry it onto the raft, or should he put it down by the side? And of course the answer is to what to do with the raft? Cut it up as firewood. So the raft should be put down by the shore. Yeah? Should be put down by the shore. And so to reach the other side is also to reach perfection. Yeah? To reach perfection. So we have gone through the different qualities. There are 6 qualities altogether. What is the first quality? Huh? First one? Precept is number 2. Very good. Precept is number 2. Next one? Huh? Giving. Yeah. First one is giving, then precepts. Third one? Huh? Patience. Yeah. Fourth one, which is what we're going to cover today. 布施、持戒、忍辱、精进。What is 精进?
Is it hard?
Hard?
Yeah.
No. What's your oh, never revise Hey, the party recording though. What's your 布施、持戒、忍辱、精进、禅定、般若. Yeah. First is giving, precepts, patience, and number 4. Effort, yeah, effort. Then number 5. Number 5. Louder lah. What is number 5?
Concentration.
Yes, speak out. Come, wrong, no problem. Everybody laugh at me, no problem. Number 5 is concentration. Number 6. Wisdom. Yeah, wisdom. Yeah, so these are qualities that we find in day-to-day life as well. Yeah? But it is just that we usually develop these qualities to a certain degree, yeah? But not to the full potential. And we say that wisdom is the guiding principle that brings the teachings or brings the quality to perfection. Yeah? Because it's only when you bring it to perfection that you can cross over to the other shore. Yeah? So today we are going to cover the perfection of diligence or effort. Jing. So effort or diligence. So if you consider the teachings of the Buddha, it circles around putting an end to evil and cultivating goodness. Dropping unwholesomeness and cultivating wholesomeness. simply put. And beyond that, to purify our mind. Yeah. So, 诸恶莫作，众善奉行，自净其意。These three, 是之物佛教. So, to avoid all evil, to do all good, to purify one's mind, this is the teachings of the Buddha. So, 精进 is about that as well. So we have wholesomeness and unwholesomeness. And then we have arisen and unarisen. So, effort in this case can be seen in these four areas. Yeah? Wholesome, unwholesomeness, there is arisen and unarisen. So there are four different things to do with respect to the four different scenarios. Yeah? I have a very simple way to remember this. Like, whenever it comes to Buddhism, it's almost like, oh, you must remember what to do, you know. I must memorize the words wholesome, unwholesome, yeah. Usually, when do you use wholesome? You use this to describe whole new bread. It's very wholesome. Yeah. Arisen, unarisen, we use arise to describe whether. When do we usually use arise or unarisen? Seldom use these terms, although it's English words. Yeah. When do we use these terms? Do you call up your friend and say, "Have you arisen?" We don't, isn't it? Yeah. So sometimes the terms that we use tend to be a bit obtuse, you know, yeah, a bit abstract perhaps. So this is what I like to do. Yeah. Just think about wholesome, unwholesome in this way. Think of, let's say, chocolate. Do you all like chocolate? Yes, okay, good. Chocolate. Then unwholesome, think of it as dog poo. Okay, dog poo. So arisen and unarisen, just think about it as in your mouth or not in your mouth. Okay? Yeah. So it's very simple. If chocolate is not in your mouth, what must you do? Look for chocolate and put it in your mouth. If it's already in your mouth, what must you do? Enjoy and have more chocolate. If dog poo is in your mouth, what must you do? Spit it out. If it's not in your mouth, what must you do? Make sure it doesn't come into your mouth. Simple, right? Do you have to memorize it? Don't have to. Yeah. Why? Because when we look at chocolate, we really like chocolate. When you look at dog poo, you don't like dog poo to be in your mouth. Yeah. So, can you remember? So I'm going to randomly tell you a scenario. Dog poo in your mouth. What must you do?
Don't eat the food.
Yeah. Chopping. Chocolate in your hand.
Eat it.
Eat it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dog poo not in your mouth. What must you do? Dog poo in your hand. What must you do?
Throw away the dog poo.
Yeah. Feeling. Chocolate in your hand. What must you do? Eat. See, very spontaneous. Eat. Yeah. Enough. Dog poo.
No need it, spit it out.
I haven't seen them put it in your hand. Someone coming at you with dog poo. What must you do?
Run away.
Run away. Yeah. Simple or not? Yeah. Very straightforward. You don't have to memorize anything. And in fact, the Dharma is meant to be like that. Yeah. It's just that for some reason, when we use wholesome, unwholesome, wholesome and unwholesome is actually English word. It's not a Dharma word. It's not a Buddhist word, you know. It's just English word. Arisen, unarisen are also English word. Yeah. The trick is, in this case, we're actually not talking about real dog poo, yeah, or real chocolate. We're thinking about mental qualities that are wholesome or unwholesome. Yeah. The trouble is, the way we relate to the mental qualities, the thoughts in our mind, are not always clear. That which is unwholesome, we don't always treat it like dog poo. We are not fearful of unwholesome thoughts. Sometimes we don't even know that they are unwholesome thoughts. That is the problem. Because if you think about it, when the Buddha say right effort, he's saying in Chinese, 为生恶，令不生；以生恶，令增减；为生善，令增；以生善，令增广. Yeah, so seems pretty straightforward. It's basically what I described with dog poo and chocolate. Yeah, but when we try to apply it, not so easy. Yeah. If you ask anybody, this is what the Buddha said, they'll be like, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I also know. Everybody also know. Unwholesome, unwholesome, evil, unwholesome thoughts, we shouldn't entertain it. We should put it aside. We should throw it away, just like dog poo. Yeah, wholesome thoughts. If we don't have wholesome thoughts, we should cultivate them. Yeah, we should let it grow. Yeah, but not so easy to do it. Why? Because, in fact, firstly, the definition of what is wholesome and what is unwholesome sometimes is a bit vague. And sometimes maybe not so apparent. What may be commonly acceptable may not be wholesome. Yeah? May not be wholesome. What we may be used to it, that everybody is doing, may not be that right also. What your friends is opposed to may well be wholesome. Yeah? I know of some of y'all who come for classes, but maybe hard to find your friends to come together. Yeah? Because your friends may find this, or may find Dharma or Buddhism, or for that matter, just spirituality like, no, no time. Yeah? So hard for us to link the wholesomeness with the word wholesome. Yeah? So that's why it's not so intuitive, Yeah, that, oh, this is wholesome, I should cultivate this. Yeah? So unarisen wholesomeness, what must you do? Yeah, you must put in effort to help it arise. Arisen wholesomeness, we should help it to grow and blossom. Unwholesome that has not arisen, what must we do? Make sure it does not arise. Put in effort to make sure it does not arise. Cross. Then unwholesome that has arisen, cause it to decrease and remove, eradicate. Put it to a stop. Yeah? Pretty straightforward. In the Buddhist teaching, this is part of the Noble Eightfold Path as well. Under 5, 6, 7, number 5. Yeah, number 5. The fifth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right effort. Yeah, right effort. To put in effort, and in this case is on the mental processes. Why is it that in Buddhism we consider so many practices and reflections on the mind? Yeah? It is because the mind is the forerunner. Yeah? Mind precedes everything. In the Chinese text, 名为先互想，想为先互说. First you have words, you have labels, then you can think. But then once you think, then you can speak. Yeah? A lot of things happen in our mind before we even speak. And a lot of things happen in our mind before we speak and then think, act on it. Yeah? So that's why, again, in Chinese culture, we have this 三思而后行, to think about it 3 times. Yeah? Think deeply about something over it 3 times before you act upon it. Yeah? In modern terms, it is 没有经过大脑. Never use your brain. To use a very English approach. So, so how do we actually do this? In fact, it starts with our meditation. When we meditate, we first observe our body, then our feelings. Yeah. Once our mind becomes more and more quiet, then we can observe the mind itself, the mental states, and then also the thoughts that arise. If we try to observe the thoughts initially, we will get dragged along by it, because now we are not stable enough. By the later stage, we can then observe the thoughts without engaging in it, without starting that internal dialogue. And in order to discriminate between whether it's wholesome or unwholesome, then attending and learning the Dharma in Dharma classes is helpful. So in various classes, such as the Wednesday class, which is like Abhidharma, and we learn about the different mental states. What are the features of the different mental states? In what way is it wholesome? In what way is it unwholesome? When it is present, what is it? What is detrimental? What does it affect? Then we also learn about how to reduce those unwholesome states. Then on the reverse, we learn about wholesome states. What are the different kinds of wholesome states? What are the supporting factors for wholesome states? So in this way, we have the teachings as a basis, then supporting our practice itself. Right effort or perfection of effort. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I had heard that the translation of Gate Gate Para Samgat was go beyond to the other shore.
Yes.
Go beyond to the other perfected shore.
Yes.
But you said Paramita also means to go beyond to the other shore.
Yes.
So how is it that Paramita and Paragate both mean the same thing?
Yeah. So the verse Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Buddhi Swaha. If you were to translate them literally, then it doesn't have that full go to the other shore thing. Go beyond. If you just do a translation, but in the context of this sutra, then it has that go to the other shore, that meaning. Yes. Yeah. So it's just like the term nirvana, or nibbana. It means extinguish. But nirodha also has that same meaning. So there are a few words that actually describe the same process. That's the reason. The verse Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Buddhi Swaha is found in the Heart Sutra at the right end. So in some of the community, they take that literally as the Prajna Paramita. That this is the mantra, the end it all, be it all mantra. So in some communities, they literally just sit down and they recite Chiti Chiti, Polo Chiti, Polo San Chiti, Poji San Polo, Chiti Chiti, Polo. And they just keep reciting this. Yeah. Just this part. Yeah. Not my lineage. So over here, you will never see me get you all to just recite this part. Yeah. I would rather spend the whole day and night explaining about the sutra than to spend time reciting just that part. The mantra, according to my teacher, was added in later. Yeah. Most of the mantra in many of the Mahayana Sutra is right at the end. Yeah. And according to my late ordination teacher, it is in a way addition at a later stage. Yeah. Mantras are usually kept in the original language, using transliteration. In a way, like at the end of the class, I always say, and as always, Guan Guan. Yeah. Now originally you don't know what Guan Guan means. Yeah. And Guan Guan, if you ask a small kid, they will just say that it means to be good. Yeah. But then in the context of SGC, then it has a lot of implication. Yeah, to remember all the teachings, to practice, to meditate. Just quite. Yeah, you see the effect. Yeah, but if someone were to just take this word quite and go around using it, then you have a problem. Yeah, because there are those who have never attended the class before and they only hear quite. Then they interpret it in a Chinese way. Quite means be obedient. That means be obedient. Then does it mean that being obedient will get you enlightened? No. Yeah. So similarly, mantras have this same effect. I would even say, for example, the 6th syllable, Om Mani Padme Hum. If you were to recite, has anyone not recited Om Mani Padme Hum before? Everybody recite. Some of you never recite before. Have you all heard before this class? Heard before, but never recite before. Have you all heard how it's recited before? Some of you never. Wow, amazing. Okay, so it's okay. No, it's good. Yeah, because usually after they know a while, I'm jaded. So maybe you chant for a while. Yeah. So it goes like this. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. So the recitation can be short like this. It can be for the whole day, or it can be for whole life. You just keep going all round and round on this syllable. How anybody felt great compassion? I mean, not to make a joke out of it. I mean, even for myself, doing the recitation is very calming. Yeah. So for some people, when they do this recitation, you feel calm quite naturally. For some reason, the way it's chanted, the syllable itself, the intonation, yeah, It's different when you just say Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And when you go for those Om retreat, then at different time, they will have different intonation. Yeah. I learned it the hard way. There was once I conducted a 12-hour Om chanting retreat, and I didn't give people enough rest, including myself. And after one whole day of intonation, chanting, at the same intonation, my voice became yeah. Because when you recite in the same way over and over, the vocal cords are strained in a certain way. So what they do is that they have this kind of chanting, then after that they switch to Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. They use a slight different tone and different speed, yeah, to regulate, so that your muscles, your vocal muscles get some stretching, some exercise, and then so you can last many days. Yeah. And that's the 1 million Om retreat. So million times, yeah, got to really pace yourself. So then, does it mean that that is all there is to this practice? Yeah. Similar to Gate Gate, Para Gate, Parasam Gate, Buddhi Swaha. Yeah. If we were to, if that is all that is needed, then we should not have 10 lessons. Yeah, we should maybe just have 1 day retreat. Gate Gate, Para Gate, Parasam Gate, Buddhi Swaha. Gate Gate, Para Gate, Parasam Gate, Buddhi Swaha. Some people maybe like it better, Yeah, maybe some people, wow, this is more spiritual. What laksa, rubbish like this one. Wow, it's chant like that, very nice. Yeah, but chanting evokes spirituality. It evokes devotion. Yeah. But even the chanting of mantra is not one dimension like that. It actually has many different layers and dimensions. On the surface, it is the vocal intonation. But taking Om Mani Padme Hum as an example, there's actually the teachings behind it. Om Mani Padme Hum. So the Om and the Hum, as far as I learn it, this is the opening and the closing stanza. Yeah, it's kind of like in different languages we have different ways of opening and ending a sentence. Yeah, in English language you have a full stop, and you don't pronounce the full stop. Yeah, in Japanese language there is so desu ka. Yeah, watashi wa what. So there's an ending des, yeah? something des. Then des actually is just an ending, yeah? And that's very queer to many people. But that's just how languages are. So in this case, the way I learned it, Om is the opening verse, but in Sanskrit it also has other meaning, yeah? And I think in Hinduism, Om is like the universal sound at the start. And Om is the end. But in the verse, it also has that meaning. So, Mani and then Padme. Padme is lotus, yeah, and then Mani. Mani is referring to the wish-fulfilling pearl. Yeah. So the lotus here denotes the Bodhisattva path. Yeah. The pearl in the lotus is representative of the compassion of the Bodhisattva. In this case, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, Guan Pusa. Yeah. Why is Guan Pusa's mantra like that? Yeah. Because his practice, like all Bodhisattvas practices actually, but he embodies compassion. Yeah. So his vow is to fulfill the wishes of all sentient beings, like the Mani pill. And this is lotus. So if you understand this, usually if you were to go formally for some teachings in the Tibetan centers, they will give you the full explanation, and then plus a lot of accompanying verses to do the aspiration making. Yeah? So that when you do chant, Om Mani Padme Hum, you are connecting with all the teachings that you have learned. And you're invoking that very pure intent to be like a wish fulfilling pearl. To, in other words, that whoever comes to you for help, Pranav, I don't know how to do this root locus. Can you help me? Oh, you're very tired already, you have a whole day of are you still having classes? No, research, right? Intern. You have a whole week of work. Yeah, you still have to run some reports, and then Sunday you still have to come for SGC. Not have to lah. You choose to come, and then after that, maybe somebody asks you like, hey, you are doing research. Hey, can I ask you to help me look at my thesis and maybe scrub through it or something, give me some pointers. Like initially you're thinking, what, hey, I'm already so tired. Yeah, but tomorrow I still have to go to work, and then you thought, may I be the wish fulfilling pearl? Yeah. Then from within your weariness, you find strength, yeah, to fulfill that call for help. Why? Because within this wish fulfilling, different people fulfill others' wishes for different reasons. Yeah. When one boy meet one girl, when the girl needs help or don't need help, the guy wants to go and fulfill the wish. Yeah. I see this very clearly when I was studying, because in my cohort, there's only like out of 200-300 students in the whole cohort, there's only maybe like 10 girls. 10-15 girls. So in each class, there's only 1 or 2 girls. So whenever it's time for lab, there'll be a lot of guys going around. Is it okay? Did they help? At that point, they are like the wish fulfilling pearl. Yeah. Then when we go for some lab, and then suddenly they go and plug in the wrong thing and burn the capacitor. What? Suddenly, how about, is it okay? Is your hand okay? Yeah, is your hand okay? So kind, you cannot, you can feel the wish fulfilling, intent. But that kind of wish fulfilling has tape inside. But for the Buddhist Sattva, this is a different one. Yeah? It is not unwholesome, it is a wholesome intent, driving this wish. Yeah? It is that because the cultivation of Guan Pusa is he keep on observing the whole world, what kind of suffering is happening. When he sees something, he tries to see, is there suffering there? Not that there's always suffering, yeah? But maybe there's no apparent suffering, but there's that inconstancy, and that is a form of suffering that usually we don't even know, not to mention is aware. We're not even aware. Yeah? But enlightened ones, they see, now seems like nothing is going on, okay. But he sees that nothing is going on. But this is impermanent. So this state is uncertain. So that uncertainty is a form of suffering. So Guan Pusa constantly, this is uncertainty, suffering due to uncertainty. That is uncertainty, that is suffering due to pain. This other one, although it's very pleasant, but there's the suffering that is latent in this, yeah, due to change, due to loss. So Guan Pusa can see all this. Yeah. And because of what? Because of the wisdom. And because of observing with wisdom, he sees suffering and giving rise to compassion. Compassion has the quality of removing suffering. So from this compassion, it arises this wish-fulfilling quality. So for Guan Pusa, this is his mantra. Yeah, that may he be like a wish-fulfilling pearl. In a way, for him, he's already a wish-fulfilling pearl. But that wish-fulfilling intent is driven by compassion. Not because, this is what this person I like. This person can give me what I want. This person I don't like, but this person is the boss, cousin or whoever. Hello, do you need help? In the company, we can also see that. Not just in school, but in the company. Yeah. If the boss say, this is a very important research. Yeah. Before this sign off, I want to take a look. Wow, then everybody come and come and offer the help. If this project is something that the boss say, why should we need to do this? You spend 6 months doing all the things, preparing, then by the time it get to his level and the boss say, wait, you mean you spend 6 months on this? Like, who is the one to approve this? Okay, just wrap it up. Then after that, you try to wrap it up, nobody want to help you. So, wish fulfilling pearl. How do we have the intent to fulfill people's wishes? Mothers have this wish towards their children, but sometimes, factually, because we are not enlightened, so sometimes while we want to fulfill their wishes, but we don't know how to fulfill. We don't know how to fulfill. Sometimes we fulfill it, but there are limitations. So the lotus here represents the Bodhisattva path that is guided by wisdom. So, with this understanding, when you chant Om Mani Padme Hum, that is different one. It's not chanting and then waiting for Guan to help you. It's when you are chanting this, you are making the aspiration. Om Mani Padme Hum. May I be able to help others. Not Guan Simpusa, help me out. Hey, help me out. Very different. Yeah. So if we learn the whole Heart Sutra, then you think about Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Then it's no longer, I chant this, then Buddha come and pull me over. Yeah. That it is, may I cultivate and reach the various stages, yeah, and all the way to the other shore, and such that I become empowered through my cultivation to also ferry others across. How many of you recite Da Bei Zhou? Da Bei Zhou. Only 3 of you. Huh? 1, 2, 3. 3 of you. 4 of you. Da Bei Zhou. How about the rest? What do you all practice? How many of you meditate once in a while? If you come every week, it's once in a while. How many of you recite Amitofo? Some of you? Yeah. So I have this devotee who visits me once a week. So he's been chanting Amitofo on a daily basis since last year, for coming to a year already. Yeah. So he would recite like 3,000 times a day. Yeah. But 3,000 times is entry level. Yeah, entry level, 3,000 times. Initially, he take the whole day, big pieces and pieces here and there. About 4 to 6 months into the chanting, he's able to just chant it in one go. I think less than an hour. Yeah, 3,000 times. Amitabha, Amitabha, Amitabha. Or Nama, Amitabha, Nama, Amitabha. Yeah. So at some point, then he asked me, Shifu, now I chant 3,000 times a day. Should I chant more? Or is that enough? What else should I do? So I told him, I said, at a later stage, the number doesn't matter. Not that, because you have hit a number, then it's okay, you can just relax now. Take it easy. But it's more that At a later stage, it shouldn't be a number that you are trying to pursue. At the initial stage, we set a certain number so that you meet a minimum. But as you do this recitation over time, you should start to have joy. So I told him, I said, 你要念佛念到有欢喜心. Yeah. You should recite until you have joy. Joy over the practice. The reason why we are not able to put in effort is because we haven't put in enough effort to have joy over the practice. How can you have joy over the practice? You must have benefit from the practice. When you reach that stage, then you don't need someone to tell you, hey, you haven't finished your 3,000. You will automatically want to do it. Think about it. For those of you who have kids, you don't need to ask your kid, hey, have you played your game? You don't have to. You don't have to tell your kids, hey, you must play at least 7 hours a day. Today you only play 5 hours. Yeah, but usually it is the other way around. Usually it is, hey, why are you playing games? Have you studied or not? Study already, mommy. How many hours? 2 hours. Sure no, I thought only 1.5 hours. I just came back. Then you started studying. Now it's only 8:30. I came back at 7. Since when is it 2 hours? So for studying, you need someone to tell your kid, hey, you need to reach this minimum. But for playing games, you don't need. You don't need to tell your kids to start playing. You don't have to tell your kids to reach a minimum. In fact, you have to tell your kids when to stop. Yeah. So similar, very similar. When it comes to chanting, or meditation, or learning Dharma, you must reach the point where you derive joy. Just like kids, when they, not just kids, even us, yeah? When it's your hobby, you derive joy, satisfaction. Then you don't need someone, you don't need Sifu to say, hey Pranav, did you go, what is your hobby? Do you have any hobby?
Meditation.
Meditation is a hobby. Wow, you move around, so, hey, really? Do you date girls or something? Do you go dating? No, you're not interested in dating. You want to, or not yet? Okay, it's okay, yeah. Do you want to become a monk?
Haven't decided either.
Huh?
Haven't decided either.
Haven't decided. If you want to become a monk in Singapore, better get PR first, easier. Otherwise, very complicated. So, thank you. Thank you so much. So that's what I told him. I said, you must recite until you have joy in the recitation. Then when you have joy in recitation, it doesn't matter whether you chant 2,000 times or 3,000 times or 4,000 times. Because as and when you can, you will find yourself chanting. And that includes meditation. It doesn't matter how long you chant. Even when you're waiting for the bus, nothing to do, you just sit there, not zone out. No. But you'll find yourself very naturally just sitting, even if it's not cross-legged, you will find yourself just very, very happily observing your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. You have no time to think, worry about this, worry about that. Yeah. And in the same way, for someone who has been doing chanting of Om Mani Padme Hum, he has no time to entertain jealous thoughts, jealousy, no time to entertain that. Because when he sees someone, let's say, when does jealousy arise? Yeah, when does jealousy arise? You cannot get what you want. Not just that. but you cannot get something and someone else get it. A promotion. Yes. Let's say a promotion. You don't get the promotion you want, but someone else get the promotion. So you're jealous over that person's promotion. Yeah. But if a person who have been chanting this, when I say chanting this, I mean with the understanding and the aspiration. Yeah. Unfortunately, many people don't do that. Many people just think, you end coming already. Wow, this person fighting for the same place. Oh, money, oh, money, don't get a promotion. Oh, money, don't get a promotion. Oh, money, so ironically, he is planting all the don't get promotion seed. Whereas if a person were to really chant with loving kindness and compassion, then with wisdom, then at the moment the other person gets a promotion, wow, he's filled with joy for that person. It doesn't mean that he will anyhow do his job and, like not get a promotion. He will still do his job earnestly, and by any chance, he might well get the promotion. But even if he don't get it, he will be happy for whoever get it. He will consider, this person, I rejoice in your success. But at the same time, he sees that that promotion is dependent, arising, and conditional. So nothing to be jealous about. Further, because it's dependent, arising, and conditional, it can be changed easily. And if the person do not see that, the person will suffer. So then compassion for the person who got promotion. You got promoted. So whether it's chanting Om Mani Padme Hum or chanting Amitofo or meditation or learning Dharma, or overcoming our craving, it's not just telling people, I want to overcome my craving, but don't work on it. On a daily basis, moment to moment, we must watch ourselves craving. This is, the Buddha said, defilements. How should you treat defilements? Related to all this is related to this effort. You should consider defilements like a poisonous snake. You should consider defilements like a burglar, like a thief. If you have a poisonous snake in your room, can you sleep at night? Cannot.
No.
Not to mention poisonous snakes. For Singaporeans, especially ladies, you just have to be a flying cockroach. Most but not all. Some of you flying cockroach. Cannot. Okay. So imagine if it's a poisonous snake or a rat. At night suddenly when you're going to sleep, then you can you sleep?
No.
Maybe not. Or maybe you sleep halfway, then suddenly you feel something on your leg. Can you sleep? Cannot. Some of you tonight cannot sleep. Then all of you text you, Shifu, now I cannot sleep. How? So the Buddha said, defilements. If you are a cultivator, you should treat defilements like a poisonous snake that is in your room. The moment you know that there is a poisonous snake, what must you do? You must make sure that, or for that matter, not poisonous snake. If there's a snake, you must quickly drive it out. If there is a thief, a burglar in your house, will you say, never mind lah. You help yourself
No, not that one.
You go and get some drinks. Later, show yourself out. You won't. You'll be on the alert, looking at the person. Hey, what do you want? Get out. So the Buddha said, this is how we should relate to it. The moment we see attachment arising, you must stop it. You must stop it. The moment you see defilements arising, you must drive it out. And not after that, hey, how to overcome the attachment? How? You keep asking how, no use, you need to do it. It is just like if your house have a lot of rubbish in your house, then you ask someone, hey, how? So much rubbish in my house. Then the person say, just take one rubbish at a time and throw it out. Don't bring rubbish back in. Okay. But you don't do it. Then next week you see the person again, you see your friend again or your neighbor. Hey, how? I have a lot of rubbish in my house. How do I remove? Then your neighbor says, told you already, just pick up the rubbish. Oh, okay. But still don't do it. And third week, how? Your house will never be clean just asking how. You need to pick up the rubbish one at a time. Throw away. Pick up, throw away. In a way, when it comes to clearing up your house, I really have this problem. Your room and so on. But once in a while, I will have to sit down, and I do sit down, and I really go through the things. Then you realize that a lot of things are there for no purpose, In the same way, in our mind, we get cluttered, Then it becomes emotionally blocked down. So through all these different things, when we say perfection of effort, it actually brings in a lot of the other practices. A lot of practices are done by people without the right understanding. So it becomes a ritual. How many times do you chant? It's not the number of times, it's how you chant, your attitude towards the chanting. Do you burn incense? It's not the burning or no burning, it's your mindset. It's the mindset. So, what wish do you have today? So let's put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛，起立。
First prostration.
一般人起立。Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. And as always,
乖。
For those who are new, come forward to exchange the reflection card.